you at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe if you don't mind, I'm sure it's foreseen. Let's make sure we pass on another glass of champagne.
When he, yes, I was not gonna drink, so that's for him. I'm wondering, do you know whether these microphones are already turned on?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they on and off. Which shows the color?
Not bad, no? But it should
I was just wondering whether it had any special.
should probably be the future UI colors. So Alex, you got the drill about giving the awards, right? You know the thing. What you need to do there.
No, not yet, but
No.
Just have to hang
No,
on.
I'll tell the name. I'll say the name, and then you give it.
and then we take a
make sure it's
picture.
the same. Yes.
Handshake, handshake. Where do you want me to be?
I think it's here.
Stay here.
Stay here.
Stay here because this way it's faster otherwise. At least that's the ritual.
You think should we start? So good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome on this very special day for many people on both sides of this aisle, which is the first conferring ceremony for the Master of Arts in Transnational Governance at the European University Institute. My name is Fabrizio Tassinari, and I am the Executive Director here at the School of Transnational Governance. It will be my pleasure to guide you through this ceremony. Before starting the proceedings, two small instructions of housekeeping. There should be some headsets provided on your chairs or next to your chairs, and these are not for translations but for the acoustics. So if you don't hear us very well, those actually help. And the second one, as it's often the case, please switch off or mute your phones. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I give the floor to the President of the EUI, Professor Renaud de Hoos.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here, but I hope you will understand if I choose to address in these opening remarks a particular attention to the students of the class of 2022 of the STG, whose moment this is. Dear students of the class of 2022, you're now getting to the very end of your stay at the EUI. In a few moments, you will be receiving the final recognition of all your efforts and achievements here. Now, don't worry. I don't intend to impose a last lecture on you, but I want to take just a few minutes of your time to stress the importance of this moment, the first conferring ceremony of the School of Transnational Governance. Now, it's of course an important moment for you, first and foremost, because you have invested a lot in this program. It's also very important for your families, which have supported you in multiple ways. But if you allow me, it is also important for us. The creation of the STG was, for the Institute, a way to adapt to a changing world. A world, as you have heard throughout these 2 years, states, like it or not, cannot, no longer on their own, solve the mighty problems they are faced with. A world in which Europe's problems are not merely European problems. Getting started was not easy. The idea of this school first appears more than 10 years ago, in a world in which Donald Trump had not even been elected, and the Brexit referendum campaign not even been launched. And you know how these 2 processes ended. It took time for the project to mature, and it took time to launch it. Now, the interesting thing is that no one was frontally opposed to the idea of creating this school and this program. But the problem was rather that support was scarce, and the intergovernmental nature of the EUI certainly did not help. If it were not for 2 key actors, I must say, we would not be here today. And that is why, on this moment of celebration, I want to express the Institute's gratitude, first to the European Commission, and then to our host country, Italy, for their unfailing support for our endeavors. The journey has been bumpy, but it was also rewarding. And most importantly, we were lucky to discover a remarkable group of young people who were not only bright, but also brave enough, let's say so, to enroll in a brand new program offered by a new school during an unprecedented pandemic. So congratulations already for that. During your time here, however, the world has not got any simpler or any kinder. Threats of various kinds have developed, as has intolerance. People have become more anxious about their future, and they may have good reasons for that. Yet, I want to emphasize one thing. The French poet Louis Aragon has written, "Enseigner, c'est dire espérance." Education means hope. For most of you now, after the time of study comes the time of action. No matter what you will choose to do next, our hope is that what you have learned here will help you shape the world in which you will live and make it a better place than the one we currently live in. Let me conclude with one plea. I'm sure there's no need for me to tell you about the importance of transnational networks. I'm sure you heard about that over the last 2 years. But I refer to this concept because now that you are about to leave the Institute, I want to emphasize the fact that you do remain members of the EUI community. Very special members indeed, for there will never be a second first cohort of STG students. We will stay in touch, and we will follow the developments of your career. We will always be happy to see you return, be it for the State of the Union or even for the Coppa Pavone. But equally importantly, because the School of Transnational Governance is also your school, let me ask you to join us to develop it further. Be our ambassadors. Wherever you will be, share with us ideas that will inform tomorrow's projects, and send us more good people like you. We wish you all the best in the future, or to say it in the local language, in bocca al lupo. Thank you.
Dear students, families, friends, faculty, staff, this is a big day. So big that microphones fall. Your patron is Professor Elinor Ostrom, Nobel Prize winner. She had a wonderful quote which goes like this: "Little by little, bit by bit, family by family, so much good can be done on so many levels." End of quote. That's what I feel that you guys have done in the past 2 years. And you know, I have a little bit of a thing with 3 points. But today is so important that I have 4. You see, the thing is, when I was a kid growing up, my parents used to put us to bed and say to us 4 things. And I think they're very prevalent to today as well. And the 4 things were: dream, believe, work hard, and succeed. So let me unravel those 4 points for all of you. The first one is about dreaming. I think you guys took a risk in coming here. You have to have a hell of a lot of guts, audacity, to look at a homepage, look at a brand new program with a really funny name, Transnational Governance, think that you're gonna hook up with 30, 40, 50, 60 different nationalities and get a degree. You know, dreaming really is about changing the world. You guys didn't come here cynical. You came here because you believe that you can change things. And I, of course, hope that that dream is still very much part of who you are and what you do. Because I believe that when you get out of here, you still have a dream of making this world into a better place and to make a difference. Point number 2, believe. I come back to the fact that you gave a lot of trust in us as a university, as a faculty, and as staff. You believed that we will be able to deliver and help you out in getting a 2 years master's degree. You also know that when it's about belief, there is this sentiment of right and wrong. You innately feel what is right and what is wrong. There is a belief set there. I think when you come out of here in 2 years, you'll see that the right and wrong has many different colors, and quite often it is not absolute, quite the contrary. The only finished thing that I will bring into you with the belief is the Finnish word sisu, which I think is very much part of belief. In other words, perseverance, grit, and sticking with it. And I'm sure that there were some moments during your 2 years when you didn't believe and you thought, this is not going to work out. I'm not going to have time to send in this assignment. I'm not going to be able to finish my thesis. But at the end of the day, you believed and trusted in us and in yourself. 3, work hard. And you did. You know, I looked at the assignments that, of course, I didn't do. It was these guys, right? You know, really heavy-duty stuff. For 2 years, during COVID and otherwise, you worked hard. You knew that you will not get anything free from this degree, from this school. But you know what the key is in all of this? It is that all of you had an open and a curious mind. And I always say this: These guys teach the young. What I always say is that the minute that you become cynical, the minute that you think that you know better than someone else, certainly about them, that's when you lose it. But the sense that I had throughout your degree is that you had an open and curious mind. And I want you to have that for the rest of your lives. Because the minute you start getting cynical and think that you know, that's the minute when your mind starts to shut down. That's the minute when innately you become conservative and are unable to progress. So keep that mind open. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable. You know, I'm getting to become an old man, right? I believe in reversed mentorship. I believe that your generation can teach me sometimes much more that we can teach you. Keep that sentiment throughout your lives. So work hard, but whatever happens, remember that it's not only about working hard, sometimes it's also about luck. Being at the right time in the right place at the right time. And I hope, to a certain extent, that the fact that you ended up being here and getting a degree meant that you were in the right time at the right place. 4 and final, succeed. By that I mean to say you made it. I don't mean to say that success is the meaning of life. It's not. Quite the contrary. Because you will define success yourself. There's no one else who can do that for you. Not your parents and family, not the faculty, not anyone else. You alone. And for me at least, success does not mean that you have some kind of a raving career and get from one position to another with some kind of a career path and trajectory. You define your own success. For me, it's more about impact and meaning. About an idea that you can make a difference in your own life, in someone else's life. About a career where you feel that there is meaning. Yeah, it's about happiness. But essentially it's about, did I do something that was right? Did I do something that made a difference in this world? And that's why I believe that the 4 things that my parents engraved in me, dream, believe, work hard, and succeed, goes very well with what you've done in the past 2 years. Let me finish off by saying that this is a big moment, I think, for all of us. And I think, you know, it's an emotional moment as well. It's one of those things that for us on the education side of the fence, we get the first project out. And I always hesitate to use the term historic, but you know what? There's never going to be another cohort which is the first cohort. You are it. You did it. We helped you to do it to a certain extent, but you come out of here and you'll be looking at this program at my age, at Renault's age, or a little bit older, and think, yeah, 30 years ago, that was pretty cool. We were the first Elinor Ostrom cohort getting a master's in transnational governance. And you took that leap of faith. But let me leave you with one thought, which I think we talked about in our first little conversation up there in Villa Paliola, when we were talking about the work-life balance. You will live in a decade, in a century, in a world which will be dominated by robotization and artificial intelligence. A lot of the things that the human mind and the human hands had to do will be done by machines. It's a good thing, it helps us, but at the same time it's a challenge. But there's one thing which those machines will never be able to do, and that is empathy. When you get out of here, remember, no matter how much you dream, how much you believe, how hard you work, and how hard you succeed, essentially it's about empathy, the way in which you treat another human being. That, in and of itself, I believe, will get you far. With these words, I would like to personally congratulate each and every one of you, and I'll be happy to be one of the ones handing out the diplomas. But before that, I have the great honor and privilege to introduce to you Ivan Krastev, who in my mind is one of the greatest intellectuals of our time. He will be delivering our very first graduation speech. Congratulations to you and welcome, Ivan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. I don't know how great day it is for you, but obviously it's for me because I was promoted. But I'm first here really to congratulate you for what you did, and also to remind you that you're very lucky. Everybody's going to tell you how talented you are and how much you have been working, and this is true. But you were very lucky because you have been studying in an absolutely magical city in which you can decide in which century you want to live. You were magically lucky because basically you have all these amazing professors you have been working with, and how innovative and risk-taking they are, you can even judge on the way they're selecting their commencement speakers. But certainly you are the first who graduated this course. And the first are simply making history by being the first. If you're the second, the third, you can forget where you have been studying. It can never happen to the first cohort. And from this point of view, being lucky to be the one who starts your career by making history is real luck, and you should enjoy it. And because this is the first commencement speech in my life, I try to teach myself what people are doing in occasions like this. And I was taught that we should do 4 things. First, be brief. Here, I promise I'll do it. Secondly, be provocative. Thirdly, be personal. And fourthly, be inspirational. On fourth, probably I'm not going to deliver much, but let's go with the provocative. When you came and study and being interested in transnational governance, you're coming in the world that was facing such a problem like climate, like pandemics, even like robotization, that you were sure that international cooperation and transnational governance is the world of tomorrow. And for these 2 years, the level of international cooperation was so low that if I want to be provocative, I can tell you that probably it's so promising to graduate transnational governance today as it was to basically graduate Marxist-Leninism in 1989, as if the world is going in a totally different direction. But here is also the good part of the story. Those who graduated Marxism-Leninism in 1989 did very well, particularly in the financial sector. So from this point of view, you always can see basically the virtue in disguise. But I'm saying this because you're coming in the world which probably is going to surprise us and challenge some of our expectations. And here comes the personal. I never had a graduation party because I graduated philosophy in the University of Sofia in 1989. And in the autumn of 1989, there was no graduation party because both professors, students, everybody was on the street. And I'm saying this because what in my view very much connects me and you is that I graduated in the beginning of a period which probably is ending now. All this post-Cold War world that was born out of the fall of the Berlin Wall is changing and in a certain way being dismantling, and the war that we see in Ukraine is in my view the most powerful demonstration of this. But this is one thing that basically as somebody who never had a graduation party I have learned is that in 1980s communism in Bulgaria looked as solid as nature. You can imagine many things, but you cannot imagine that it is going to collapse. And this is what we learned, and I do believe this is something that probably can be useful for you. Don't take anything for granted. Every trend can change, and they change normally by people. And from this point of view, basically, we're never going to know in which direction the history will go, because the history will go into the direction in which we're pushing it. And I see this basically the most important things that particularly I have learned for myself. And this is why looking basically in the world in which we are living today, I was very much trying to understand, is there something that I see dramatically changing because all these talks about deglobalization, return of the Cold War, return of the 19th century, and so on. And recently I was in Stockholm, and they have a very beautiful museum of modern art. And in this museum now there is an interesting exhibition which is called Who Are You Really? And that the last part of this exhibition is something which is called a mirror room. So basically, the curators of the exhibition has asked people to bring mirrors and to donate them to the exhibition so people can go into the room and basically look at themselves and look at the others. I'm telling you this because my feeling is that we're living in the world in which very much resembles the Hall of Broken Mirrors. We are living in the world in which identity is very much overtaking politics, also on the level of international relations. We all wanted others to treat us in the way we view ourselves, but at the same time we want to have the right to tell the ugly things about others. And from this point of view, you can see it in the international politics. Russian president believes that what he's doing is putting a mirror to the West, telling us, you see who you really are. When asked by the Russian president why Finland wants to join NATO, the Finnish president said, look at the mirror. So we're in this kind of a global mirroring, and in this world of mirroring and identity politics, transnational cooperation, international cooperation is going to be much more complex. It cannot be reduced simply to interests. It is going to be very much about identities and how different players feel about. And in my view, this is the world that you're going to shape. And I want to finish referring to something and somebody that at least had a great intellectual impact on my life. And this is a great German-American economist, Albert Hirschmann, whom I do believe at one point or the other you have been encountered with in your study. Hirschmann was a typical for a different generation of German Jews that left Europe because of Hitler. He went to the United States. He contributed incredibly to the development economics and to Latin America. But when he was a young man, he defined that his own task is proving Hamlet wrong. He said, Hamlet is the symbol of a doubt that is paralyzing, that is not allowing us to act. And he believes that the task of his life was to have doubts, to be ready to ask questions which others don't want to hear, to be ready to basically challenge assumptions that others take for granted, but after being doubtful, to be able to act. So if there is one thing that I want to tell you is, please prove Hamlet wrong. Thank you and congratulations.
Okay, thank you so much, Ivan. Now for the highlight of this ceremony, we will proceed with the award of the Master Degrees in Transnational Governance. May I please ask the graduates to stand up?
By the authority vested in me, I admit you to the degree of Master of Arts in Transnational Governance. Congratulations.
All right, please be seated again now, and I will call you one by one to come forward. Moaz Nasser Saber Abdelrahman.
Congratulations.
Hala Ahmad. Zakaria Achmali. Lucia Bozoer. Ingrid Bratz. Gabriel Cohen. Mixon Cremades. Andrew Fallon. Chiara Fischietti. Josep Maria Folk Olivella. Andrea Gaiba. Sophie Guillaume. Well done. It's really good one, right? Especially so. Enyuan He. Waiming Wang. Varun Khanna. Phi Helen Kirsch. Xiaoman Lin. Naira Lopez Cañelas. Dylan Casey Marshall. Marta Moretti. Trung Hugh Nguyen. Melina Nitschke. Melissa Nil Öskarakaya. Lucas Petrelli. Jiken Q. Roberto SK Brightman. Morgan Catherine Speckert. And last but not least, Lucas Villa. I've been suggested that you should stand up one more time and take an applause. All right. So that was something else. Now, we proceed to the awards for the Best Master Project and overall performance. I invite Professor Emma Lees to announce the prize winners.
Good morning, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today witnessing this really wonderful celebration of the academic achievements of all of our graduands, of whom we are all extremely proud, as I'm sure you are too. Their mastery of a breadth of skill, their depth of knowledge and their innovative ideas are truly inspiring. We're going to take a few moments now, though, to celebrate two very special achievements with the granting of our academic awards for this year. We have, as I say, two awards to announce. The first of these is for the Best Master Project. The Master Project represents the culmination of 2 years of very hard work. The students in these projects bring together disciplines, show original ideas, and of course work extremely hard. So it's a great honour to be able to award the prize for the Best Master Thesis to Roberto SK Brightman. The second award today is for the best overall performance in the master degree. To get this, you have to show talent, consistency, innovation, but also 2 years of really, really hard work. So again, I'm really delighted to announce that the prize for the best overall performance this year is Andrew Falone. because I'm much less interesting than he is, I'm now going to hand over to him to address his fellow classmates.
Thank you. Good morning. I owe an immense debt of gratitude to everyone here today, and also to all the students and professors in the School of Transnational Governance who are not with us today, for being a constant source of motivation during the past 2 years. All the way from our first days in Villa Palaiola at boot camp, whether debating French foreign policy or struggling through calculus, everyone in the Ostrom cohort displayed such boundless ambition. It was a visceral feeling. All of your ambition was contagious. From having a Brazilian barbecue at the Flats in September 2020, to having late-night drinks in Piazza Santo Spirito, to lockdowns and Zoom classes, getting to know each other was an exercise in getting to know the impressive goals that each of you set for yourselves. In the 2 years since, it felt natural to draw inspiration from the high ambitions of everyone in our cohort. Ambitions that cover the entire spectrum of transnational issues, from those who want to lead their own nation's foreign policy, to those delving deep in a specific area of the world and becoming regionalists, those working to solve the existential crisis of climate change through the Sustainable Development Goals or through attending the COP26 conference, those who focused on re-envisioning education policy or reorienting security policy, those working on migration and political economy, energy policy, workers' rights, gender equity, those seeking to understand the disruptive influence of new technologies and the regulation of cyberspace. The paragon examples of this motivation are the unique and innovative theses that we all submitted. This boundless energy and ambition extends far beyond the classroom in everyone in our cohort, from some of us competing in the Coppa Pavone, some winning the Civca Future EU policy competition, some writing their own novels, others learning new instruments, still others mastering new languages, and all of us starting new and rewarding lives here in Florence. Yet, having such high ambitions can also be a difficult challenge, because it means that we can be overly hard on ourselves when we fail to meet them. And we can often overlook all the successes and achievements that we attained in pursuit of such high ambitions. Allowing ourselves to be imperfect is essential, no matter what career path we continue on. It gives us the fortitude to keep learning and striving in pursuit of such goals. We need to be kind to ourselves, recognizing that there's significant value in other forms of achievement, like running in races, going to an art museum, and, above all, spending a quiet night in, either with our friends or by ourselves with a good movie. While cooking our favorite meal and getting more than 6 hours of sleep may not be resume-worthy, it is undoubtedly praiseworthy. It's easy to forget the intrinsic value of these personal goals when we are so often caught up in the hustle and bustle of striving to achieve professional goals. And this can dangerously skew how we set our priorities. Deadlines can always wait when we have friends, loved ones, and family members who are in need, or when we need to prioritize our own personal well-being. So often we hear elected politicians and successful business leaders say that they regret neglecting and not spending more time with the very same people whose quiet labor of support enabled these individuals' success. So, when we deviate from our high ambitions, we are not failing. Instead, we are investing in the long-term sustainability of pursuing those lofty goals. I know intimately well how hard it is to avoid being intensely self-critical when we encounter obstacles and setbacks while pursuing such high ambitions. I have an idea of how I think I should do and what I think I should be that I can tell you I very consistently fail to meet. But we need to recognize our own fallibility and allow ourselves to make mistakes and to not get caught up in protecting some imagined image of ourselves. Now, I may not be as skilled on a bike as Alex and Florence, but I generally consider myself relatively proficient at avoiding trees and not falling off my bike when going down rocky trails in the hills. But one night last year, I was biking home with my fiancée, Claire, on flat and paved ground even, downtown. And I went around a corner far too quickly, and fell off my bike pretty hard. Now, with the benefit of a year of hindsight, I can tell you it must have been a comically cartoonish fall. But immediately, at the time, my impulse was to hide my air and to tell no one, because I was worried what others would think, and that they would think less of me for my mistake. But whether it's falling off a bike, not spending as much time writing an essay as we had originally intended, not receiving a grade we had hoped for in a seminar, or not submitting an article to a journal in time, it takes listening to people who care about us, like Claire, to remind me that these are not black marks against our character, to be hidden or ashamed of, that none of these are setbacks that are reflections of our self-worth. Instead, these are simply reflections of how high we've set our ambitions. We need to allow ourselves to be humbled so we can endure setbacks and continue working towards such high ambitions. I have felt so lucky here at the School of Transnational Governance to be consistently humbled by the incredibly impressive abilities and ambitions of all my peers in the Ostrom cohort. I am so confident that in the coming years, we will continue to provide one another with the same humbling inspiration through the successes that we will each go on to achieve. Thank you in advance for this inspiring ambition. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks so much. And this brings this ceremony to a close. So I'll tell you what's going to happen next. The graduates will be leaving the church first, followed by the faculty. And so the group pictures will be taken outside. I would ask all of you in the audience to please remain seated while that happens. You can, of course, leave your headsets on the chairs. And after the group pictures are taken, then you can exit the room from the main exit there. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And have a good day.